we need three kinds of practices in our lives: the private practices in your life, the personal practices, and then what I would call the public practices. So the way I would distinguish these is that those of us who live a kind of public facing life, we put things out there for others to see who may not know us in person. We actually need a completely hidden part of our reality that by definition can't be seen by others. And so this begins with the traditional practices of Christian discipline, solitude, silence, fasting. So, is there a time every week, ideally, or on some frequency, when I'm alone? Are there times when I am silent? And that includes without interactive devices that will blink at me. I'm just silent. I don't need to say anything. I don't need to respond to anything. I'm just in the world, in the presence of God. And do I fast? Do I have some appropriate for health and so forth, some kind of rhythm with food so that I'm not just constantly satiating my desires? I do these things, but you'll never see me doing them. I don't do them on screen, except in settings like this where it's helpful to others. I don't talk about them. I just do them because if I don't have this kind of iceberg, 90% underwater of private practices, I'm in a lot of trouble with the 10% that's above water. Another thing would be just care for the body, physical exercise in a world that allows us to just sit in front of screens and move our fingers and make things happen. So, do I have regular, vigorous exercise, strength training, again, as appropriate for health? And then the rhythm of Sabbath is another kind of private rhythm that I try to engage in. So, all these things are totally private. And then the next layer is the personal. And this involves recognizing that ultimately what really matters in my life is relational. A person is defined by relationship. There is no isolate. There's no such thing as a person all by themselves. We become persons in relationship with others, and God is three persons, Father and Son and Spirit, who relate to one another continually in love and in attention to one another. So, do I have friendship in my life? Not friends on social media, not followers, for goodness sakes, or my gosh, not fans, but do I have friends? Meaningful relationships with people who have known me, ideally since I was young, who will know me long after no one invites me to speak anywhere because I'm too old or I lose my edge. Um, Someone who's going to be with me for my life. And do I work on maintaining friendship? Do I have accountability in my life? Do people know the truth about my life? The whole truth cannot be told except to a few people. None of us can tell the whole truth about our lives except to a few people. Do I have a few people? And I'm very, very grateful to say I do have a few people. And then there are some public disciplines, and these are much more contextual and maybe the least important thing to talk about. But I make all my fees and terms public, so there's no mystery about how much money I make when I speak. It's all there on my website. I'm very careful and deliberate in how I use media, which media I use. I'm not on Facebook at all. I'm not on. There's a bunch of them that I'm not on. I can't remember them. I'm only on a few that I think I can use well and use deliberately for a certain purpose. And then what am I doing to include others in my public life? So I'm not just leveraging my platform all the time, but I'm actually trying to sort of imitate that biblical practice of gleaning, where I allow others to glean and to do their own work rather than me just sort of taking up more and more space and time and attention.